Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Friday, May 9th, 2025. If you like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in Major League Baseball, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab, pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alright, here we go. Here are the games for Friday in Major League Baseball. First up, we got the Atlanta Braves taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. We got Bryce Elder and Bailey Falter as the projected starters. Now, when I look at this game and I look at the next games in this series and the projected matchups pitching-wise, I do think that this is Pittsburgh's best chance at a win in this series. You got Bryce Elder on the other side on the mound. He has struggled this season with an ERA above 5. The Braves have backed him up. They've won his last 4 starts, but I still don't love him as a starting pitcher in this league right now. And while Bailey Falter may not be the best option on the other side, the Braves have not been the best against left-handed pitching to start this season, and Falter is coming off one of its best starts of the season. So I'm going to roll the Pittsburgh Pirates at a pretty solid price on the money line at PNC Park. Next up, we got the Texas Rangers taking on the Detroit Tigers. Patrick Corbin and Tarek Skubal are the projected starters. It may seem crazy to take an under in a Patrick Corbin game, but I like the under in this one. He's been pitching pretty well. Got 3.28 ERA through his first 5 starts or so, 24 2/3 innings. He's got only 17 strikeouts, 8 walks, 4 home runs. I do think there are some regression concerns, but so far so good for Corbin. His ground ball percentage has been solid, especially as of late. And you got the Tigers coming off a Coors Field series, a doubleheader on Thursday. It's a pretty miserable spot for their bats. And you got the defending Cy Young winner on the other side in Skubal. I think we see a low-scoring game, probably a low-scoring series. Give me the under in Rangers-Tigers. Next up, the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Washington Nationals. Eric Fedde and Mitchell Parker are the projected starters. Now, Mitchell Parker's form is not great. We see that in his last couple of starts, giving up the earned runs to the Reds and the New York Mets. But I still think that, Eric Fedde's not necessarily in the best form either with his control. I think the Nationals' bats are a little bit more trustworthy, even though, we've seen their bullpen blow some leads like we saw in the Cleveland series, up 3-0 through 5 innings or so. They lose that game 8-6. It's been tough to watch this Nationals bullpen at times, but I think they get enough run support for Parker and that bullpen against Eric Fedde, and a Cardinals bullpen that I'm not necessarily convinced is the strongest either. When you look at the numbers like the projected WAR, according to Fangraphs, the Cardinals are near the bottom of the league. So I think that the Nationals take this game behind their bats, especially at Nationals Park. I'm going to roll the Nationals on the money line at home. Next up, we got the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. We got Jose Quintana and Zach Littell as the projected starters. Now, these are two teams that I do think are a lot better than their current records, and you could say they're bet-on teams for me right now, just based on where we see them being priced in their other matchups. But in this particular matchup, when they're going up against each other, I am going to lean towards the Brewers. Even though I don't love the start we saw from Quintana in his last game, I do think there are some regression concerns in his game going forward. I think this is actually a decent matchup for him, though. He's been solid on the road. He's facing a Rays team. It's not been great against left-handed pitching. You got Zach Littell on the other side, who's also struggling this year. He's been a little bit better as of late, but still an expected ERA in the 5s. I think that the Rays are going to score some runs here against Quintana, but I think the Brewers back him up. And I actually like this Brewers bullpen. Despite the rough start to the season, I mentioned that bullpen was in a really tough spot in the first couple of weeks with all the injuries, forcing guys to go multiple innings, multiple days in a row. Now they're in a situation where they can balance it and manage it a little bit better. I think this is going to be a solid Brewers bullpen the rest of the way. I like the chances to pick up a win in Steinbrenner Field in this one. Next up, the Chicago Cubs taking on the New York Mets. Jameson Taillon and Clay Holmes are the projected starters. Now, this should be a great series. Two of the best teams in the National League going at it. We know the Mets have been super strong at Citi Field. 13-3 record at home this season. Cubs have a winning record on the road as well, 12-7. But Clay Holmes is really tough to bet against right now. He's been a winning machine for the Mets this season. He lost his first start of the year in his season debut and Mets debut against the Astros. But since then, 6 straight wins for the Mets when Holmes is on the mound. He's personally 4-1 with a sub-3 ERA. He's in good form. His last game, 8 base hits given up against the Cardinals. Not exactly what you want to see, but no home runs given up, no walks, and I think he pitches well. It's a tough matchup. Cubs are a great lineup against righties, but so are the Mets, especially the top half of that lineup. Soto, we saw getting going a little bit in that Diamondbacks series towards the end. Lindor's red hot. Alonso's been arguably the best hitter in the National League. So while the bottom half of the lineup for the Mets is not the strongest, the top half is dangerous against Taillon, who's not been great on the road this year. Don't love that Cubs bullpen. I think the Mets have a big bullpen advantage in this series. I'm going to roll the Mets on the money line in this one. Next up, the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Aaron Nola and Gavin Williams are the projected starters. Now, Aaron Nola's numbers on paper still aren't great overall this season, but he's been in much better form in his last couple of starts, and that was against two of the best lineups in baseball against righties this year in the Diamondbacks and the Cubs. Two lineups I think are much stronger than the current matchup for Nola against the Guardians. I think Nola in those two games, 13 innings, 1 run, 14 strikeouts, no home runs, just a couple of walks given up, 2 wins for the Philadelphia Phillies. I think he can continue to pitch well and earn another quality start in this game. Williams is not in great form on the other side. He's given up 6 runs his last 6 innings, 14 hits his last 2 starts combined, 7+ hits his last 3 starts as well. He had good K numbers, strikeout numbers his last start against the Blue Jays, but 5 walks to go with it. I got to go with the Phillies in this one. I don't love their bullpen in terms of what we've seen so far this year, but I think going forward, the Phillies bullpen will be a lot stronger. They're still, that we've seen this many times from the Phillies. Slow starts to the year in that bullpen. They heat up towards the end of the season. I think we see that again in 2025. Give me the Phillies in this one on the money line and run line. Next up, the Boston Red Sox taking on the Kansas City Royals. We've got Hunter Dobbins and Michael Lorenzen as the starters. The Dobbins has pitched pretty well this season. I do expect a bit of regression going forward, but I think he'll put together a solid outing. The problem is, Lorenzen's been great at Kauffman Stadium this year and going back to last year as well. His first season as a Royal is about 17 innings, so small sample, but sub-3 ERA, almost sub-2. And, while he didn't pitch well in that last game against the Orioles, that was at Camden Yards. It was very good hitter-friendly weather. We saw that, both teams had a bunch of extra base hits and home runs, so Lorenzen did struggle, but I think he bounces back, and still the Royals won that game in the end. This Royals bullpen's been very sharp. They're winning these close, low-scoring games, and they've been great at home, 14-5 record, while the Red Sox are below 500 on the road. I'm going to roll with the red-hot Royals in this one on the money line. Next up, we got the Miami Marlins taking on the Chicago White Sox. Max Meyer and Bryce Wilson are the starters. Definitely by far the weakest start of the season for Max Meyer, arguably the weakest start of his career in his last game against the Athletics. He had no strikeouts, which is the big concern for me, in 5 innings, giving up 5 earned runs, 3 home runs, and 10 base hits. But despite all of that, the Marlins still won that game, 9-6 the final, off a walk-off grand slam by Kyle Stowers in the bottom of the 9th. I do think that I think Meyer, like I mentioned, the strikeout numbers, not missing a lot of bats in that last game, is a concern. I wouldn't be shocked to see him struggle yet again in this game because now it's back-to-back starts that he's not been the sharpest. But I also think he gets that run support yet again in this spot against Bryce Wilson, who I also don't love on the mound for the other side for the White Sox. I don't love this White Sox bullpen. I think the Marlins have the much better lineup. So I think the Marlins win this game, potentially a high-scoring game, but I think Miami ends up winning it on the road. Next up, we got the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Houston Astros. Nick Martinez and Hunter Brown are the projected starters. I'm going to roll with the Astros in this one on the run line. I do think it's a lopsided pitching matchup in favor of Houston. The Astros have been a lot better at home this season in general, but offensively in particular. And their bullpen, I think, has a big advantage in this series. Nick Martinez is starting pitcher. The Reds are 1-6 this year. He's just, not been able to. I've mentioned many times, I don't think he's a viable starting pitching option. He pitched well in the last game. He went 6 innings, 1 run, 6 strikeouts. But still, the Reds didn't back him up. The bullpen didn't back him up. And ended up being another loss and run line loss as well. So I got to go with the Astros in this one. Brown's in great form. Give me Houston laying the 1.5 runs. Next up, we got the San Francisco Giants taking on the Minnesota Twins. We got Jordan Hicks for San Francisco. No official starter right now for Minnesota. Could be Joe Ryan. He missed the game on Thursday against the Orioles with an illness. So he, if he's ready to go on Friday, he'll be the starter. If not, maybe more of a bullpen game or a spot starter. I really think all those options are pretty good for Minnesota. I think this is one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. Obviously, Ryan's having a great season, but I also think the Twins have a top 5 bullpen in baseball. So I think that the Twins have a pretty good pitching day, but offensively, I don't love their chances, at least early on, against Jordan Hicks. I've mentioned I've not been the biggest fan of Jordan Hicks as a starting pitcher, but recently I have been impressed with what I've seen. He's been able to keep the ball on the ground. You look at his last start against the Rockies, on paper, it doesn't look the best. 5 innings, 3 runs against the Rockies team. It's been miserable offensively, but all 3 of those runs were in the 6th inning where Hicks went 5 sharp, and then the Giants stretched him a little bit too much, and he gave up those 3 runs. I think still 7 strikeouts in those 5 innings. He looks sharp. No home runs given up. I think he can pitch well in this game, and I think it's going to be a low-scoring game and a low-scoring series. So I like the under in Giants-Twins. Next up, the San Diego Padres and the Colorado Rockies. We've got Randy Vasquez and Antonio Senzatella as the projected starters. I don't like the under in this game. I think we see some runs early and often. Give me the over. Cincinnati has not been the sharpest at Coors Field this year. I think the Padres lineup matches up well with them, so I do expect a solid day for San Diego. But I think the Rockies are going to be very competitive in this game and in the series offensively. We're starting to see them, wake up a little bit offensively in that Tigers series. Vasquez, I've mentioned many times, I don't love him as a starting pitcher. He's not been great on the road this season. He had a bounce-back start in his last game, but still had 5 walks given up against the Pirates in those 5 innings. I think that control is a big problem for him. He's got 24 walks and only 13 strikeouts. 24 to 13 walk-to-strikeout ratio is, honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen something like that before. So I think at Coors Field, he does struggle quite a bit. Give me the over in Padres-Rockies. Next up, we got the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Tomoyuki Sugano and Kyle Hendricks are the projected starters. Now, when you go back to my win total predictions at the beginning of the season, the preseason, a few of them have been pretty solid, like the Orioles team total under 90 wins or so, 89.5 wins. Some of them not so great, like the Mets under. Still, plenty of baseball to go. But for me, even though I was, not in love with the Orioles' chances of winning 90-plus games in the preseason, I still think they're a lot better than their current record. And because of their current record, we can get decent prices with the O's in situations like this. I do think they have a pretty significant lineup and bullpen advantage in this game, in this series. I know the bullpen's not been great so far this year, but still a ton of talent in this bullpen in terms of projected WAR near the top of the league, so I'm not worried about it going forward. I don't love Tomoyuki Sugano as a starting pitcher, but I will say recently he's done a pretty good job of limiting sharp contact. He's mixed in some missed bats, some strikeouts recently. I think he's the better option compared to Kyle Hendricks. And like I said, I think the Orioles are just a better lineup here against right-handed pitching. They've been top 10 in baseball in the last month in terms of team OPS. So give me the Orioles in this one at a decent price, a better price than we would have gotten at the beginning of the season. In our next game, we've got the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Roki Sasaki and Eduardo Rodriguez are the starters. I like the over in this game. In a hitter-friendly ballpark, you've got Roki Sasaki, whose control's been off this season. The walks have piled up, and you got a Diamondbacks team that's got a high walk percentage and a low strikeout rate against righties, and some of the best numbers in general in terms of OPS and isolated power against right-handed pitching. I think Sasaki struggles in this one, but I also don't love Eduardo Rodriguez. The Dodgers, in terms of their numbers against lefties, they've smoked lefties in the last 30 days overall, number 1 in baseball in team OPS. They've got good numbers against Rodriguez in their career matchups. I think we see a high-scoring game. Give me the over in Dodgers Diamondbacks. Next up, we got the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Seattle Mariners. We've got Luis Castillo and Kevin Gausman as the starters. I lean towards the Mariners and the under in this game. Gausman had a great start his last game against the Guardians, but before that he gave up 10 earned runs his last 2 road starts, so he's not been great on the road this season. The Mariners have been pretty solid against right-handed pitching this year, so I think they can get to him for a couple of runs. But overall, I still think it'll be a quality start for Gausman, handed over to a pretty good Toronto bullpen. Then you got the Mariners. Castillo's in much better form right now. He's got great numbers against the Blue Jays' current lineup in their career matchups. Been 120 plate appearances. The strikeout rate's a little bit low, but so is the walk rate, and a 274 xWOBA is exactly where you want to be. So the Mariners and the under for me in this one. Next up, we got the Yankees and the Athletics. We got Will Warren and Osvaldo Bido as the projected starters. Now, obviously, Will Warren, an ERA above 5.6, has struggled this year, and he's given up a good amount of extra base hits and home runs, 2 of them in his last 2 starts combined. That could be an issue when you're pitching in Sacramento, but I do see the upside to his game. 34 strikeouts and 28 2/3. I think he's actually the better option in this game, believe it or not, on the mound, because Osvaldo Bido just not pitching the way he was in 2024, where I was really, looking to back him quite often in that A's rotation when we were getting really good prices on the A's in those situations. But right now he's giving up a lot of sharp contact, not keeping the ball on the ground as much. The Yankees, I just think, provide a really tough matchup for Bido, and I think they get on the board early and often. I know the Yankees pitching has been very inconsistent, the bullpen, starting rotation. I think it'll be good enough in a game like this. I lean towards the over, but I think the Yankees find a way to win and potentially cover the run line. And that's it. Those are the games for Friday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium, and there is a link in the description. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.